And then the only thing I don't understand in that is how can this refinancing system continue to survive in the long term?
Well, I think that's the $64,000 question. Can the politicians keep kicking the can down the road? And I think the examples, from history are enlightening, but maybe not very encouraging. The British economy saw a big increase in its debt, public debt, to pay for the wars against Napoleon in Europe. And that caused the debt GDP ratio for the UK to skyrocket. Now, that period, the subsequent period, saw the debt GDP ratio of the UK come down quite appreciably. But you've got to remember what was the background. The background was the Industrial Revolution, and productivity gains were huge. The other two examples basically come immediately after World War II, again featuring the British economy, where the debt GDP ratio was again sky high through the late 1940s and 1950s, but it did come down. Now, that period for the British economy wasn't a particularly great one. In actual fact, the subsequent decades have not been great. The British economy has never come back to its former strength because of that big debt burden. And it was only really reduced because of a baby boom in the post-war years, which actually led to faster GDP. And a lot of the welfare systems that were then enacted by the British government and other governments were pay-as-you-go systems. So they depended on the young workers effectively paying in, and they could offset any older workers that were retiring or needed welfare benefits. The trouble is that equation has now gone dramatically the other way. So you haven't got young workers coming in, you've got a lot of older people needing welfare. Third example is Japan. And Japan has got sky-high debt GDP ratios. But again, the Japanese economy is suffering. Japan is not like it was in the 1980s. It's not seeing big productivity gains. It's an old, aging society. It's suffering from, bouts of deflation from time to time. And although the Japanese standard of living is pretty decent, it's certainly not advancing. It's being caught up by a lot of other countries.